Stargazers, a comet making its way through our solar system, apparently growing a tail. So what does that mean, huh? My next guest says there's a 40% chance that it is alien technology.
Space is full of surprises, but some astronauts claim we have been told lies about what circles Earth. From unknown objects to dangers they saw firsthand, the truth is stranger than fiction. What did they really see? Why did they keep it away from the whole world? Join us as we explore the hidden truths of Earth's orbit. The claim that shook the internet. The internet has a way of turning small ideas into very loud claims. One of those claims says that astronauts have admitted we were lied to about what orbits Earth. The message appears in bold posts, dramatic videos, and attention-grabbing headlines. It often suggests that something huge is being hidden from the public. Many people first see this idea through short clips on social media, where the message spreads quickly without careful explanation. These claims usually do not begin from official interviews or verified astronaut statements. Instead, they start from edited videos, misunderstood comments, or posts written in online forums where people already share doubts about space agencies. A short clip is taken out of context. A sentence is cut in half. A title is written to sound shocking. Then, the post is shared again and again, each time gaining more attention and less accuracy. A common pattern appears in these posts. Some say that images of Earth from space are computer-generated. Others say videos from space stations are staged inside studios. Some claim that space agencies hide the real truth about objects orbiting Earth. The words used are dramatic. The tone is urgent. The message is built to make readers feel that they are discovering a secret that others do not know. These ideas often mix real science with incorrect conclusions. For example, people see that space agencies use computer graphics to explain missions. From that, they jump to the idea that all space images are fake. In reality, computer graphics are used for education and planning, not as replacements for real photographs. Real cameras on satellites and space stations take thousands of images every day. Those images are stored, studied, and shared publicly. Another popular claim says that videos of astronauts floating are filmed underwater or inside special aircraft. While training sometimes happens underwater to practice movement in weightlessness, the actual time astronauts spend in orbit happens inside real spacecraft moving at very high speed around Earth. The environment in orbit is very different from water. The behavior of objects, light, and motion in orbit cannot be copied perfectly inside a swimming pool. These claims spread fast because space feels distant and mysterious. Most people cannot go to space. Most people cannot see satellites with their eyes without help. Because of this distance, it becomes easy for doubt to grow. When people do not have direct experience, they rely on trust. If that trust is weak, alternative explanations start to feel possible. Human psychology plays a strong role here. Many people like the idea of hidden knowledge. It feels powerful to believe you know something others do not. It creates a sense of belonging to a small group that is seen through a supposed lie. Social media platforms increase this feeling. Posts that create shock or fear often get more attention than calm explanations. The system rewards dramatic claims more than quiet facts. Mistrust of institutions also adds fuel. Some people already doubt governments and large organizations. When they see space agencies mentioned, they carry that same doubt into the topic of space exploration. They ask why they should believe what they are told. They begin to suspect that every official statement hides something. However, there is an important fact that often gets ignored in these conversations. Space is not observed by only one country or one agency. Several space agencies from different parts of the world track objects orbiting Earth every single day. These include agencies in the United States, Europe, Russia, China, and many others. They publish data about satellite positions, speeds, and paths. This information is not secret. It is available to researchers, students, and even hobbyists. The International Space Station is a strong example. It circles Earth many times each day at a height of a few hundred kilometers. Its path can be predicted with great accuracy. People around the world use simple apps and websites to know exactly when it will pass over their location. At night, many people step outside and watch a bright point of light move steadily across the sky. That light is the space station reflecting sunlight. Independent satellite trackers, who are not connected to any government, also confirm these movements. They use small telescopes, cameras, and radio equipment to follow the station and other satellites. Amateur radio operators even make contact with astronauts when the station passes overhead. The timing of these contacts matches the predicted orbit perfectly. This is something that anyone with basic equipment can verify. But how does orbit really work? And could someone be lying about it? To understand that, we need to unpack what orbiting Earth actually means scientifically. The science of orbit, what really circles Earth. An orbit is not a path where gravity disappears. It is a path where gravity and motion work together in a precise balance. In physics, orbit means continuous free fall around a larger body. A satellite, a spacecraft, or a space station is always falling toward Earth. At the same time, it is moving forward very fast. This forward motion keeps it missing the ground as it falls. The result is a curved path around Earth instead of a straight drop. Gravity in orbit is still strong. At the height where many spacecraft travel, gravity is only slightly weaker than it is on the ground. The reason astronauts float is not because gravity is gone. They float because they are falling around Earth at the same rate as their spacecraft. Everything inside moves together in the same fall. This creates a condition called microgravity. It feels like weightlessness, but gravity is still present and active. To stay in orbit, an object must reach a high sideways speed. Near Earth, this speed is about 28,000 kilometers per hour. At this speed, the surface of Earth curves away beneath the falling object. The object keeps missing the ground, and the fall becomes a loop around the planet. If the speed drops too much, the object descends and enters the atmosphere. If the speed increases too much, the object can move into a higher orbit or escape Earth's pull. There are different regions of orbit used for different purposes. Low Earth orbit is the region closest to the planet. It begins at about 160 kilometers above the surface and extends to about 2,000 kilometers. This region is used by the International Space Station, many research satellites, and Earth observation satellites. The station orbits at a height of a little over 400 kilometers. At this height, it circles Earth in about 90 minutes. This means it travels around the planet many times each day. Medium Earth orbit sits higher. This region is used by navigation satellites that help with location and timing signals. These satellites move slower than those in low orbit because they are farther from Earth. Their orbital period is longer, and they can cover wide areas of the planet with fewer satellites. Geostationary orbit is much higher still. It sits at about 36,000 kilometers above Earth's surface. A satellite placed here moves at a speed that matches Earth's rotation. From the ground, it appears to stay fixed over one point. This makes it useful for communication, weather monitoring, and broadcasting. Dishes on Earth can point to one place in the sky and stay connected without moving. Satellites do not stay in orbit without effort. Even in space, there is a very thin layer of air. This air creates drag, especially for objects in low orbit. Over time, this drag slows them down. When speed decreases, the orbit drops. To prevent this, spacecraft fire small thrusters at planned times to restore speed and height. This process is called reboost. The International Space Station performs this action regularly to maintain its path. The physics behind orbit is consistent and measurable. The relationship between speed, height, and gravity follows clear mathematical rules. These rules allow scientists to predict exactly where a satellite will be at any time. Tracking systems on the ground confirm these predictions. Telescopes, radar systems, and radio signals all match the expected paths. Satellites in orbit provide continuous observation of Earth because their motion is steady and repeatable. An Earth observation satellite passes over the same regions in a known pattern. Weather satellites in geostationary orbit watch the same side of Earth all the time. Navigation satellites send signals in regular cycles that devices on the ground use to calculate position. These services depend on accurate knowledge of orbital motion. So we already know how orbit works from physics, but what do the astronauts themselves see from orbit, and how does that reality compare to the online claims? Astronauts looking back, the overview effect. Many astronauts describe a powerful mental shift after seeing Earth from space. This shift is known as the overview effect. It is not a scientific term from physics. It is a description of a deep emotional and cognitive change. When astronauts look down at Earth from orbit, they see the planet as a whole system without borders. They see oceans, land, clouds, and the thin atmosphere that protects all life. From orbit, Earth appears small and delicate. The atmosphere looks like a very thin layer wrapped around the planet. This thin layer holds the air, controls temperature, and supports life. Seeing it from above makes its fragility clear. Astronauts often say they did not fully understand this until they saw it with their own eyes. This experience changes how they think about human activity. They begin to notice how closely connected everything is. Weather systems move across continents, rivers flow into oceans, forests and deserts form patterns that are easy to see from space. The planet looks like a single, living system rather than a collection of separate places. One astronaut who spoke clearly about this change is Ron Garan. After spending many months in orbit, he explained how seeing Earth from space altered his priorities. He described how human systems often focus heavily on economic growth while paying less attention to the health of the planet. His words were about perspective, not about hidden truths in orbit. He emphasized how direct experience gave him a clearer understanding of what truly matters. This effect is shared by many astronauts from different countries and missions. They report feeling a stronger sense of responsibility toward Earth. They talk about unity, environmental care, and the need to protect the planet. None of these reflections involve claims that orbit is false or that space agencies hide information. Instead, they focus on how powerful the view of Earth can be. The overview effect also highlights how different reality feels compared to expectations. Before going to space, astronauts train for years. They study images and simulations. Yet, when they finally see Earth directly, the experience feels much stronger than anything they imagined. The colors, the movement of clouds, and the curve of the horizon create a vivid impression. This difference between expectation and reality sometimes leads people on the internet to misunderstand astronaut comments. When astronauts say the view is not what they expected, some listeners assume they are hinting at hidden secrets. In truth, they are describing an emotional reaction to a beautiful and powerful sight. But if astronauts are not admitting orbital deception, where did the idea of lying about what orbits Earth originate and why? Next, we trace the history of space misinformation. How conspiracy theories about space started. Doubt about space exploration did not begin on social media. It started many years ago, soon after humans first traveled beyond Earth. When the first missions reached orbit and later landed on the moon, the achievements were so large that some people found them hard to believe. The technology seemed too advanced. The distance seemed too great. For a small group of people, disbelief slowly turned into suspicion. The most famous space conspiracy is the claim that the moon landings were staged. This idea began to spread not long after the Apollo missions returned safely to Earth. Some writers and speakers argued that the landings were filmed on Earth instead of happening on the moon. They pointed to shadows in photographs, the movement of flags, and the appearance of the sky as supposed proof. These arguments sounded technical, but scientists later explained each point using simple physics and photography. For example, the shadows in moon photos appear unusual because there is no thick atmosphere to scatter light. The flag appeared to move because it had a support rod and was being handled by astronauts in a low-gravity environment. The sky looked black because there is no air on the moon to create a blue sky. These explanations were clear and based on science, yet the conspiracy idea continued to grow. In the years that followed, books, videos, and documentaries repeated the same claims. Each new version added dramatic language and bold accusations. These materials often ignored the large amount of evidence collected during the missions. Rocks brought back from the moon were studied by scientists around the world. Independent laboratories confirmed that these rocks did not match anything found on Earth. Reflectors placed on the moon during the missions still allow scientists today to bounce lasers off the surface and measure distance with high accuracy. One public example of this doubt involved a man named Bart Sibrel. He became known for confronting Apollo astronauts and accusing them of lying about the moon landings. He followed them with cameras and demanded answers in public places. These confrontations gained attention because they were emotional and dramatic. Short clips from these events spread widely and gave the impression that a major secret was being defended. In reality, the astronauts had already given detailed accounts of their missions, many times in formal settings supported by scientific evidence. These conspiracy ideas continued because they were easy to repeat and hard to erase once planted in people's minds. They also appeared during a time when trust in governments was already weakening in many parts of the world. Events unrelated to space made people more suspicious of official statements. That suspicion carried over into the topic of space exploration. Another reason these theories lasted is that space is difficult for most people to observe directly. Few people have the tools or knowledge to check orbital data or study spacecraft behavior. This distance allows imagination to fill gaps where understanding is limited. When someone presents a simple explanation that challenges complex science, it can feel easier to accept. Despite this, space missions have been confirmed by many independent sources. Different countries have sent spacecraft into orbit and beyond. Space agencies in Europe, Russia, China, India, and Japan have all tracked objects moving around Earth and traveling to the Moon and other planets. These agencies are separate and do not depend on one another for data. Their observations match because they are based on the same physical reality, N. So, myths can grow fast. But what about claims that astronauts themselves have seen strange things? That is what we explore next. Astronauts and unexplained observations. Space is a new environment for humans. It is quiet, dark, and very different from life on Earth. Because of this, astronauts sometimes see things that are unfamiliar at first glance. These observations are real, but they are often misunderstood when shared outside scientific context. One common example involves light seen outside spacecraft windows. Astronauts have reported seeing flashes or moving points of light while in orbit. Online posts sometimes present these sightings as proof of unknown objects or hidden truths. In reality, many of these lights have simple explanations. Some are reflections from spacecraft parts, others are small particles of ice or dust floating nearby and catching sunlight. Some are distant satellites or pieces of space debris moving in their own orbits. Another source of confusion comes from small particles hitting spacecraft at high speed. Tiny bits of debris can strike windows and leave marks. When described without explanation, these events can sound mysterious. With proper context, they are understood as a normal part of traveling through an environment filled with natural and human-made fragments. Astronauts are trained observers. They report unusual sights carefully and pass the information to engineers and scientists. These reports are studied and explained using physics and data from instruments. The goal is to understand the environment better, not to create mystery. Over the years, a few retired astronauts have spoken about seeing objects they could not identify at the time. These statements are sometimes labeled as sightings of unknown flying objects. However, these comments are usually personal reflections shared long after missions ended. They do not include claims that space agencies are hiding information about orbit. They also do not present verified evidence of anything beyond normal orbital activity. When these stories appear online, they are often shortened and removed from context. A careful description becomes a dramatic headline. A moment of uncertainty becomes a claim of discovery. The original meaning is lost as the story spreads from one post to another. It is important to separate seeing something unfamiliar from claiming institutional deception. Astronauts sometimes encounter views that require explanation. This is expected in a complex environment like space. They rely on data, communication with ground teams, and scientific analysis to understand what they see. Real astronauts are careful with their words because they know their statements carry weight. They avoid making bold claims without evidence. This caution does not always survive when their words are shared online. Parts of interviews are clipped and presented in ways that change the meaning. With real observations and myth both in play, the next question is this: what actual evidence do space agencies provide about Earth orbit, and how accessible is it to the public? How orbital data is verified independently. One of the strongest facts about objects orbiting Earth is that their movement is not hidden. Their paths are tracked every day by many people who do not work for any government. This tracking happens in universities, private observatories, small astronomy clubs, and even backyards. The tools used are simple enough for skilled hobbyists to confirm what is happening above the planet. When a satellite moves across the sky, it follows a predictable path. This path can be calculated using the laws of physics. Once the path is known, anyone with the right information can look up and see the object pass overhead at the expected time. This is not limited to experts. Many ordinary people use mobile apps and websites that show when satellites and the International Space Station will be visible from their location. A key source of this information comes from data first collected for space safety. Organizations that monitor objects in orbit publish details about where satellites are and how fast they move. This data includes position, speed, and timing. It is shared openly so that researchers and observers can avoid collisions and study space traffic. Because this data is public, it allows independent confirmation. The International Space Station is one of the easiest objects to track. It is large and reflects sunlight strongly, making it visible to the naked eye during certain times of the night. People across the world step outside and watch it glide across the sky like a bright moving star. The timing of these passes matches the published orbit exactly. This agreement between prediction and observation is powerful evidence. Ground-based telescopes also play an important role. Astronomers use them to follow satellites and pieces of space debris. They measure position against the background of stars and record how objects move from one point to another. These observations are shared among tracking communities. Different observers in different countries report the same paths for the same objects. Radar systems add another layer of confirmation. Radar can detect objects in orbit by sending signals upward and receiving the reflection. This method works even when objects are not visible to the eye. It allows tracking during the day and through clouds. Radar data confirms height, speed, and direction without relying on visual sight. Amateur radio operators, often called ham radio users, provide a very human form of proof. The space station carries radio equipment that allows direct communication with people on the ground. When the station passes overhead, radio operators can hear voices from orbit. The timing of these contacts depends on the exact position of the station. If the station were not truly orbiting, these predictable communication windows would not exist. These radio contacts are logged carefully. Operators record when the signal begins and ends. They compare this with orbital predictions. The match is consistent. This means that the station is exactly where physics says it should be. No special access is required to witness this. A simple radio setup is enough. Independent satellite trackers also photograph satellites as they pass in front of the moon or Sunday. These events are rare but predictable. The images show the shape of the satellite crossing the bright background. When many independent people see the same thing at the same time, it supports the scientific explanation strongly. The movement of satellites, space stations, and debris follows rules that can be checked again and again. All of this evidence suggests we really are orbiting Earth as understood scientifically, but mainstream explanations still leave gaps in people's minds. So why do lies about space keep persisting? Why space lies thrive? Even with strong evidence, false ideas about space continue to spread. This happens because of how the human mind works. People are naturally curious and often look for hidden meanings behind complex topics. When something feels distant or difficult to understand, simple alternative explanations can feel attractive. One reason is distrust of authority. Some people feel that large organizations do not always tell the truth. This feeling can come from past experiences in politics, business, or media. When space agencies speak, that same doubt carries over. Instead of seeing scientific information, some people see another powerful voice that might be hiding something. Another reason is the appeal of secret knowledge. Believing that you know something others do not can feel exciting. It creates a sense of belonging to a special group. This emotional reward can be stronger than the desire to check facts carefully. The idea of uncovering a hidden truth feels more dramatic than accepting a well-tested explanation. Social media plays a large role in this process. Platforms often show people content similar to what they have already viewed. If someone watches one video questioning space exploration, the system suggests many more. Over time, a person may see only one side of the topic. This creates a cycle where the same ideas repeat and appear stronger than they are. Short videos and posts also remove important details. Complex science is reduced to a few sentences. Without full context, statements from astronauts or scientists can be misunderstood. Understanding why lies spread helps us see how truth can be communicated better. But there is one more piece missing. what everyday people can observe to confirm Earth's orbit for themselves. That is the focus of the final chapter. What they thought was dangerous, what people thought was hidden. Many people believe astronauts saw something in orbit that was so frightening that it had to be hidden from the public. This idea appears often in dramatic posts and videos. It suggests that astronauts returned to Earth carrying a secret about a danger circling the planet. It also suggests that space agencies decided not to speak openly about it. When we examine real astronaut reports, mission logs, and scientific records, we find something very important. Astronauts did see dangers in orbit. These dangers were real, they were serious, but they were not mysterious creatures, hidden objects, or unknown forces. They were dangers created by physics, environment, and human activity in space. One of the most serious dangers astronauts face is high-speed space debris. Small fragments of metal, paint, or broken equipment travel around Earth at extreme speed. Even a piece the size of a grain of sand can damage a spacecraft window. Larger pieces can destroy satellites completely. Astronauts are trained to watch for this risk at all times. There have been moments when the International Space Station had to change its path to avoid possible collisions. These moves are carefully recorded and publicly reported. The danger is not hidden, but many people do not hear about it because it is discussed in technical reports rather than dramatic news. Another real danger astronauts describe is how thin the protection of Earth looks from orbit. The atmosphere appears as a very thin line around the planet. Seeing this makes astronauts understand how fragile life on Earth really is. They often speak about this after returning home. This is not a secret, but it is often misunderstood as a hidden message. Radiation is another serious threat in orbit. Outside the protection of most of Earth's atmosphere, astronauts are exposed to higher levels of space radiation. This can affect the body over time. Spacecraft are built with shielding, but the risk is always present. This is a known and studied issue in human spaceflight. There is also the danger of equipment failure in an environment where there is no air and no easy rescue. If something breaks in orbit, astronauts must fix it carefully while floating in microgravity. Simple tasks become complex. Every action must be planned. This constant risk creates stress that astronauts are trained to manage. When astronauts speak about these dangers, their words are sometimes taken out of context. A careful explanation of risk becomes, in online posts, a hint that something frightening was hidden. In reality, they are describing the normal challenges of living and working in space. The idea that astronauts lied usually comes from misunderstanding their emotional reactions. Many astronauts say that space is more intense, more silent, and more extreme than they expected. They speak about how serious the environment feels. These statements are about the harshness of space, not about secret discoveries. People who hear these descriptions without full explanation may imagine that astronauts are avoiding the truth. They may think the danger must be something larger or stranger. This happens because the real dangers of space are not widely understood by the public. What would happen if these real dangers were ignored is something scientists discuss openly. If space debris continues to grow, collisions could create even more fragments. This could make some orbits unsafe for satellites and spacecraft. This situation is studied carefully and is part of current space planning. If radiation exposure is not managed, long missions could become harmful to human health. This is why spacecraft design and mission length are carefully controlled. If equipment failure is not handled quickly, astronauts could be at serious risk. These are the true concerns that space agencies work on every day. Now that the science, the observations, the tracking, and the astronaut experiences are clear, the final question becomes simple. When dramatic claims appear about hidden truths in space, will we choose mystery, or will we choose the evidence that has been visible all along? If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.